Thanks for tuning in to St. Paul Public Schools Today, a show designed to keep you up to date with the people and opportunities in the St. Paul Public Schools. For the next few minutes, we'll give you an overview of the district's activities this fall and present our latest initiatives for the new millennium. Under the leadership of Dr. Patricia Harvey, the district developed an accountability plan to hold students, staff, and the district to high performance standards. Using the 1998 MAT 7 results, the district placed each St. Paul school in one of three categories. Schools in Category 1 are at or above the district's average on district and state assessments. Schools must show continuous improvement to maintain Category 1 status. Category 2 schools are below the district's average on district and state assessments. Finally, Category 3 schools are on academic probation because they fall substantially below the average on district and state assessments. When a school is on academic probation, every district employee and everyone associated with the school is part of that academic probation process. Part of the district's accountability plan includes intervention in Category 2 and 3 schools. The School Intervention Unit will send in an assessment team to these schools to determine how best to help. This support can take many different forms, including technical assistance in developing corrective action plans, assigning a design team manager to each school, and providing school coaches to help principals and teachers in day-to-day activities. The goal is to give schools the resources they need to begin to increase student achievement. Parents can rest assured that the district and its entire staff are committed to the success of every child in our district. However, teachers and programs are only part of the accountability picture. Families and student commitment to academic success will ensure that each St. Paul Public School moves toward a Category 1 status. To ensure success for all students, the Board of Education believes that homework is a necessary and integral part of the learning process. Research shows that homework reinforces newly introduced concepts, identifies the gaps in understanding, allows for creative expression, develops good habits and discipline, and above all, increases academic success in school. Parents and students should expect regular homework assignments. The board's revised homework policy raises expectations for everyone. The new total time allocations for all subjects are between 15 to 45 minutes per day for grades K through 6, 1.5 hours per day for junior high students, and between 2 and 3 hours per day for senior high students. Parents' supportive and interest in homework show students that education and homework are important. On a lighter note, the St. Paul Public Schools are proud of the many achievements of our students. Next, we'll introduce you to Emily Parker. As a state spelling bee champion, Emily spent a week in Washington, D.C. to compete in the National Spelling Bee competition.
And assume the same monotonous tone. Monotonous.
Monotonous. M-O-N-O-T-O-N-O-U-S. Monotonous.
Correct.
And our 1998-99 winner of our spelling bee from Murray is Emily Parker.
49 spellers began competition. Through the first 3 rounds, overnight, 104 survived. We're now in the 5th round. There are 46 spellers remaining.
After state, I went to the National Spelling Bee competition, and that was in Washington, D.C. It was a lot of work because we were on stage for about 8 or 9 hours, and it was really hard and really stressful to be up there that long.
Pfeffernuss, Pfeffernuss.
Are there any alternate pronunciations?
I think I have just 2. Pfeffernuss, Pfeffernuss. That's it. That's all.
Pfeffernuss?
Say it again.
Pfeffernuss?
Pfeffernuss.
Emily's a 14-year-old 8th grader.
Say it again.
Pfeffernuss? What part of speech is it? Please.
Can you see Dr. Cameron conferring with Dr. Bailey? They think this is a pretty nasty word.
There is another variation. Pfeffernuss.
If like that'll
May I
help.
have definition, please?
A small, hard, highly spiced cookie made traditionally for the Christmas holidays.
Could I have it in a sentence, please?
The aroma of pfeffernusse in the oven brought back memories of Christmas to the old man.
Pfeffernusse. P-F-E-F-F-E-R-N-U-S. Pfeffernusse.
Pfeffernusse is P-F-E-F-F-E-R-N-U-S-S.
Oh. Oh.
An extra F and an extra S. What a word. Even Dr. Cameron applauds that one.
Cameron's laughing.
At the National Spelling Bee competition, I was taken out by pfeffernusse, and I think that was probably one of my hardest words. It's a lot of hard work, but then when I won the trip to Washington, D.C., it was really fun, and I spent a week there, and I got to see lots of things, and it was a fun trip. Some of my favorite activities to do is the Minnesota Youth News page. I write for that. It is on the Star Tribune in the variety section, and also I play the flute. I've been thinking about being a doctor because I think that's something that I would like to do and maybe be good at. I'd like to help other people.
One of the district's most important resources for student achievement is the high quality of our staff. Staff are encouraged to engage in lifelong learning activities that support their work with students. This next segment shows off artists who teach in our district.
The language of art is universal. It speaks to all ages and transcends cultural barriers. It is a powerful means of communication. In the St. Paul Public Schools art curriculum is guided by a vision of a culturally diverse society that leads to an increased understanding of the history and expressions of cultures and civilizations. The St. Paul Public Schools are proud to have a wealth of teachers with art backgrounds working in our district. In order to recognize these artists, a call went out for artwork submissions to be put on display at our administration building.
I'm just really glad that we have an opportunity to display artwork by the people who teach, the teachers who do art. When I saw it in the bulletin that went around, I was very excited. Had the 3 pieces, went out, got them framed for this particular show. When the kids found out at school that I was exhibiting, I didn't let them know. It got out. But they were all very, very excited. They wanted to see the artwork. They wanted to know, how I created things, where did I get my inspiration or my ideas. So that's important to the kids, that you are not just the teacher. And as a special ed teacher, I would prefer to be seen as multidimensional, particularly for the sake of the students I do teach. I think all teachers have another life. And I was talking with a colleague today about that. We were talking about this interview and the fact that I did art outside of the school. And I said, too often kids think of their teachers as being folded up and tucked away in the drawer at the end of the day, and that teachers who go out and are involved in athletics, are involved in the creative endeavor, always bring more to the classroom. There are lots of outstanding teachers that their job at school is the most important thing to them. But I think teachers that have other things outside of school bring a certain dimension.
Teaching is an art also, and I've been working on trying to develop and become a better teacher. And so I did the national board, and I've been on several, best practices and different boards and trying to get better at what I do. I would consider myself a fine artist in that I work on work that I am expressing my own feelings and my own thoughts and ideas. The pieces are about, first of all, whatever you see in it, then you can identify, but the flower is something usually very small, and then by having something larger like a landscape in it, it's the idea of looking at something small that we sometimes think is insignificant and finding that it's actually more powerful. It's also maybe about memory, that when we look at things, we have memories that, and so that's why I've different pieces inside that are memories for me, but they might also be memories for other people. Teaching is the same sort of reflection that you do with art, where you're trying to look at each student as an individual person and trying to figure out, where do I need to help this person develop, and where do I need to compliment this person or have them push them a little harder. Well, I like being with the students. I just really enjoy that a lot, and I also like to see their progress as they grow and see how they develop. I like the idea of helping them find out who they are through art. I like to teach the process of creation and helping them find their own growing and changing. And I had a student who had very quiet and really had a hard time in lots of different classes and didn't really want to take a lot of other subjects, and he was fairly insecure. And one day, on this Valentine's Day, we were doing lots of stuff and everything was going on, and he was very quiet, but as I went through a doorway, he came up to me and I realized he wanted to say something to me, and he said, "Elizabeth, the reason I come to school is for your class." So that was really a nice moment, and so obviously I've never forgotten it.
St. Paul Reads, our reading campaign designed to get everyone in St. Paul to read 25 books, is off to a tidal wave of a start. Our Name the Mascot contest for St. Paul students was held in November, and its name will be revealed at a December 1st press conference.
Well, we quickly decided that an effort like this had to have a symbol, a mascot. And so we went to all of our kids in St. Paul and asked them to participate in a naming contest. We had over 833 potential names. But a committee took a look at all of them and narrowed it down to a small group and gave me a list of the small group of potential winners. I went through and had to study real hard and look at everyone and make a decision, hard decision. And I'd like to introduce you to the winner of our contest, our naming contest, Anna Downing. Anna, can you come forward? Anna and her parents. And her parents are David and Tammy. And now, Anna, would you like to tell us the name of our new mascot?
Ouch. Dewey Reed.
And here comes Dewey. Great. And every time any of our students log on to the internet, to the website, they're going to see Dewey Reads. Every time we talk about our program, we're going to see Dewey Reads. And sometimes he will have a pal with him called Ann Howe. So Dewey Reads, Ann Howe. Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you. Okay. Susan, can you come forward and help us salute this outstanding winner?
Well, Anna, as I said, Lawson Software believes heavily in making sure that our young future employees also have all the technology that they need. So on behalf of Lawson Software, I would like to present you with an IBM laptop and 1 year of free internet access.
Our new mascot will be out and about looking for students who read 25 books this year. To be sure your child is riding the wave to reading success, you can visit the district's new interactive internet website, developed in partnership with Lawson Software. Again, the address is www.stpaulreads.org. Joining me in the studio today is Randolph Heights librarian Carol Dye to tell us how students at her school are doing on their quest to read 25 books. Welcome to the show, Carol. Why don't you describe for viewers what your school is doing to get students to read their 25 books this year?
Well, the first thing we did, we had a big assembly, and we had the books, 25 little picture books, all stacked up, and we had children come out lugging them to show how many that would be. And then we had what the kids call the chapter books all stacked up. And that was lots heavier and bigger looking. And then we told them that this was what they were expected to do in terms of reading for the year, and that it came right from the top, from the superintendent, and that was really important. And that was what everyone was supposed to do. And then we handed out reading cards like this, and they go up past 25. They're little stars to show that if they get past 25, that's really great. Now, some of the teachers are keeping track on these cards, or even the children are writing. Some have more elaborate ways. And once they get to 25, and I think about 75 students are there already, mostly the little children, although some of our fourth graders are too. And we put these up on the wall, and we're going to have a whole wall full of these. We hope it'll be full of everybody's, if we're lucky.
Certainly. And you brought some samples of what some of the grades are doing, the kindergartners?
Well, I think it's pretty easy to see what the older children will do. They're going to read regular books, but when you think about the kindergarten children who can't read yet, that's more of a problem. But the kindergarten teachers were not daunted. They always make books. So they've made already something like 16 books. This one's called My Brown Bear Book, and this one's called My Apple Book. They went to the apple orchard, and then they read these over and over. And then this is their book of books. This one has little books in it that they've made, various little books, and they take these home and they read them to their parents, and they read them in school. And so that's how the kindergartners show what they can do, and they'll be able to get their 25 books in that way.
Great. Now, did you say there's going to be some kind of reward at the end of the 25 books, or what is your school doing?
We don't have any special reward other than the certificate that goes up, but we do have a kind of a reward system that we use with our accelerated reader. The accelerated reader is a group of books for which we have tests, and the kids take a computer test. They really like that. And in fact, I use it with my after-school club, some of the children who are having a little more difficulty with reading, and they love it. They love to take those tests and demonstrate what they can do. And when they get 5 points, they get a certificate that they can use at what we call the Prize Palace. And one of the teachers in her class operates the Prize Palace for us. All the things that they can choose there are donated mostly by parents, or maybe a few businesses or things, but it's mostly parents, and we don't spend any school money for that, but we always get plenty of prizes. Sometimes people who can't come and participate in our volunteer program like to give prizes, and we have a huge number of volunteers that come and listen to children read, so that's another way that we keep track of them and motivate them to read.
Wonderful. And you also were telling me that there's a bingo game?
Well, we're not using that actually at our school, although I just found out about it. North End is using the bingo game at their school, and they have 5 books going each way on their card, depending on whether they're library books or books they read at home, and when they get 5, they get book bucks to buy prizes. It's kind of like the same thing, it's kind of a little gimmick, but the kids are excited about it. Whether you should reward them or not is kind of a two-edged sword. You want them to read for the love of reading, but I've tried it both ways, and there are a few children who don't read for the love of reading who do read for prizes, so maybe you get both types by having both motivations.
And I suppose they figure, well, they have to read 25 anyway, so
well, having it
might as well get a prize.
Yeah, having it come from the superintendent has really made a difference. At first I didn't realize, I thought 25 books, how are we going to keep track? And I thought of all the details and how difficult it was going to be. But the amazing thing is how much more seriously the teachers and the children are taking it. It's just a simple message coming from the top that says reading is important. And I think that makes all the difference in whether children value it and realize that it's valued in our society.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming to
Well, it was fun to be here.
We'll be right back.
It's a new day in St. Paul Public Schools. Great teachers and community partnerships. When all of us work together, we give our children the values and tools they need to succeed in school and in life. Helping all students reach their full potential will mean a brighter future.
The electricians at St. Paul IBEW Local 110 know that education is the foundation of industry and community.
And for more than 87 years has supported our schools and children. St. Paul Public Schools. We're raising expectations.
That's all we have time for today. Thanks for tuning in to St. Paul Public Schools Today. Have a great New Year.